Hello, what is up? It's your boy Stokes, aka Stokes. Doing a little check-in here. This is season 4 now. We're 7 weeks in, and just doing a little check-in video. I know, Dirty A. Smith has decided that he's no longer going to do the videos. And I didn't do any last season. Just a little bit busy for me to find the time to do it, and without unable to find the time with my co-host, who is not with me, and on this particular show. So it'll be a little bit different than the normal when I've got Gaz with me, but it is what it is. Each show's a good one in its own way, so hopefully this one is remains the same. So the first thing we'll start with is the standings. I'm also doing this game, and at the same time watching the Chiefs and Chargers game. So it's 5 o'clock Central, and that game's happening while I'm watching. Right now it's 10-10 in the second quarter. So there are 4 undefeated teams in the league. So we got the Vikings, Browns, Cardinals, and Chiefs, as you can see. And I don't think that any of those 4 teams are going to get through the season unscathed. I think there's just too much talent in the league overall to necessitate anyone getting through the season without a loss. Whether it's just you're running into the right matchup, whether it's one bad thing happening in one particular game or one bad read. Like I say it. I've said it each season, and I say it. I'll say it this season. I'll say it every season. Like if you lose a turnover battle, you're really up against it. When it comes to trying to win the game, so like. I said it last year and the year before. In the playoffs, there were no teams that won a game in which they lost a turnover battle. Now, if it was even, I think there might have been a few teams that won a game when it was even, whether it was like 0-0 or 1-1 or 2-2 in the turnover battle. But there isn't any team that won a game in which they gave up the ball more than they got it back. So it is so critical to take care of the football and to make sure that you're not giving anyone an extra possession, because in the playoffs you're playing against by and large good players, and whether they are quote unquote elite or whether they're top 10 or whatever ranking you want to put on them, they won enough games to put themselves in the positions for the playoffs. So they are good enough to win a good portion of their games. So first thing I'll talk about, I usually start with the Afc East, and I'll do that this time. So we got Herm, who took over the Jets. He's leading the squad, 6-1. He's taken over, and he's gotten scoring a lot of points, and I think he's leading the league in passing yards. So he's really hit the ground running with this squad. And in second place is the Bills. So the biggest thing that you see here is the point differential. Just look at the comparison between the first and second team. They're one loss different, but the Jets have a plus 157 point differential, and the Bills have a plus 7. So I mean, when you look at that, and Ron Clerk's only losses, he came one loss to the Jets and another one to my Cardinals, in which he probably should have won. He just missed an ice kick at the end of the game. So that means either all 5 wins he had were just all like one-score games, and then he got wrecked against Herm, or what. But Herm beat him by 32 points in their one game. So that means the 5 wins averaged about 6 or so points per victory. So it means Ron's playing a lot of close games. Herm is really taking advantage of the teams that he's playing, and he's difficult to beat. And Tony, he's not doing so hot. I think coming off of last year, he was expecting that his team would be a little bit better, and this year he's not doing so hot. Starting out at 1-6, and I'm pretty sure he traded away his first round pick. So unless he turns that around, he's going to be giving someone quite a gift. And that's one of the things that I like is when a person has traded away their first round pick, because they're going to continue to try their best to win each game, whether it's in the middle of the season or the end of the season, because it doesn't benefit them to continue to lose or things like that. But if I know Tony like I know Tony, he's got some plan in his mind that he thinks is going to assist in his turnaround. So next we'll go up to the West. Well, actually, I guess I'll make a pick here. I think it's difficult to pick against Herm right here when you consider that he's got a head-to-head win over the Bills, and the point differential is astounding in comparison. But I think Ron's probably going to make the playoffs as well. He's got a good team, good scheme, and if he just remains consistent, he's going to be in the playoffs. As expected, but I think Herm's going to take this division. When we see the AFC West here, so right now leading is the undefeated Chiefs. They're playing a really good brand of defense, and that's, you don't really see that a lot in Madden 22, but he's playing really well defensively. And the Raiders are in second. Now they have a not a force, but a sim loss to the Chargers just last week or the week before. So they haven't lost the game that they've played just yet. Ader just scored a long touchdown before half, so it's 17-13 going into half. The Chargers are winning. And speaking of which, the Chargers are 3-3. Ader, I've spoken. I don't want to say ad nauseum, but I've spoken a lot about his game and the way he plays. He's got really good offensive schemes as far as getting guys open deep, but I just don't think that he has any sort of consistency that is going to allow him to make a run in the playoffs, because he played the Browns and he got wrecked in that game. Like when you play someone who just knows how to defend those deep bombs, it's going to be a game in which he throws himself out of a game, because when he played the Raiders, he like all game, Terrell was doing, he was just containing that left defensive end. So what Ader would do is he would scramble out to the defensive end. So he just scrambling into pressure, and he still dot him up. He still did dot him up a couple times, but he's still rolling into pressure even though he knows the pressure is coming there. So when you've got players that don't really make adjustments to what their opponent is doing and just tries to be bullheaded and tries to, I'm not just gonna try and beat what you're doing. I want you to continue doing what you're doing, and I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to try and beat you that way. And for some people that'll work. Some people that can work, but at the same time, you can always make an adjustment. And that doesn't just go for Ader. That goes for other people as well. And I think that a lot of people get stuck in, well, I know this play's supposed to work. I see this coverage. I know this coverage. I know my play. This play's supposed to beat that play. I'm going to run this play 15 times just because. And that, getting into that mentality is what separates a lot of people, because people are too busy trying to figure out how to beat one specific play with one specific thing that you're doing, that you don't make any of the small adjustments that can make that big play work. So if a player is giving you the 5 to 10 yard pass all game, if you don't take it, then you're just going to continue to play into their hand. And that's part of what has made me successful in in these last couple seasons, and I guess I'll pull you guys down into the weeds here. And my scheme is fairly simple on defense, and I mean there's no surprise in what I'm running. I'm calling wide nine. I'm calling cover three, and if you can beat it, however you can beat it, that's fine. I'm trusting what I can do, and what I tend to do is I let a person get certain plays or certain areas of the field. I leave open for a certain amount of plays. I don't want to give you guys too much into my game plan, but I'll just leave a certain block of the field open and just leave it open and let you attack that for as long as you want to attack that until you get into a certain point in the field where you can't do that anymore. And then at that point, well, now you have to run a different play. Now I am in a better position. Just because I've given up a bunch of yards doesn't mean you're going to score a touchdown. And if I feel as if I'm trading you a touchdowns for field goals, then I'm ahead at the end. And there's a lot more that goes into that, but that's just the general basis of how I tend to play defense. I rarely blitz because I got my four-man pressure, and that's just how it's gonna be. You got whatever plays you're gonna call, and I'm calling my defense because I know where the holes are gonna be, and eventually you're gonna go into one play expecting this area of the field to be covered or to be open, and I'm gonna make one small adjustment that covers that, and then that's when you may be stuck, and now you have to go to secondary route, third route, and then at that point everything is crashing, the pocket's collapsing, and then that's when mistakes happen. So I mean, just a little bit of insight, and I don't mind giving it because I don't really care. I mean, it's not like I have been doing anything differently. I've been running wide nine, cover three since Madden 18, Madden 19. So this is nothing that is new for anyone that has played me in this game. So just to give you guys a little bit of a more insight, and again, that's not specifically always what I do, but just a little bit of insight. So if that helps anybody, then great. If it doesn't, then great. I just wasted 3-4 minutes of your time talking about my defense. We'll go to the AFC North now. Leading that division is the Cleveland Browns, undefeated Browns, and in second place right now is Flo. His wins have come against Baltimore, New England, Washington, and he's got a forced win over the Steelers. Now, those wins are against teams that do not have winning records currently. However, he's got 4 wins and 1 loss right now. I mean, that's all. He can only play the teams that are on his schedule, and that's all he can really control. So he's got some games coming up that are going to really dictate how his season's going to go. When we look back at season 1, I think he started like 0-4 or something like that, or was it 4-0? No, I think it was 0-4, and then he battled back and won like 4 straight or something along those lines. So we'll see how these next few weeks go, and when he's still got to play the Browns twice. He's still got to play the Steelers again. So we'll see a little bit how things are going to go with him. Then of course you've got my guy Gas, who took 4 forced losses to start the season, and all that. I'm not even really going to get into that one, to that whole all that shenanigans from last year. So he's got a big game coming up. He plays, I think, Terrell, and then he plays Herm right after that. So I mean, he's got some big games coming up, and if he isn't careful, he could miss the playoffs. If he ends up with like 6 losses, 7 losses, he might miss the playoffs. Because you look at the AFC West, you're going to assume that 2 of those guys are going to get in, and then if you look at the AFC East, two guys are going to get in there. So if Ader turns up anything and he ends up with 5 or 6 losses, then it's really going to put a lot of pressure on Gas when it comes to the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to turn out for him, because he's basically playing the playoffs like right now. And fortunately or unfortunately for him, he has already played. He's already gone through the Browns twice and taken those 2 losses, but that just means that he doesn't have to go through that towards the end of the season. And the Browns, I'm picking them to win the division, just based on where they're starting, where Gas started, and also the Browns. That team. If you haven't looked at them recently, you need to look at that roster, because shout out to Jason for what he has done with that team, because they are built so well. They are a team that is just completely stacked wherever you need to be stacked. He's been drafting well and started out for the fantasy draft, and then drafting well after that and building out the players. Like he has done a tremendous job of roster building, and I think that squad is the best in the league. I don't think it's even close, honestly. So he's gonna have to turn that around. He's gonna have to turn that into playoff victories and Super Bowl wins for having that roster, and he is a good player. So when you got all that, and he's just gotta win those big games, and he has done that. He has done that. So we'll see how things go with him. And now we go to the AFC South, one of the weirdest divisions that in our history here at 281. There have been 3 different winners of this division in the 3 seasons we've had. The Jags won, I think, season 1. The Texans won it last year, and the season before that, the Titans won, I think. Let me check, or it was the other way around. But either way, there have been 3 different winners of the division each of the seasons. I'm almost certain of that. No, the Titans won the division last year. But right now we got action here. Who is 5-1, and you see the point differential there is +2. That is very deceiving. Very, very, very deceiving. The one loss he had, he lost 79-14. So he took a 65 point loss. I don't know if he did something to make Eric try and make him feel it, but giving up 79 points in a game, that's really something that you're a contributor to that. If in fact you're giving up 79 points, I mean, there are things you can do to shorten a game if in fact that's what you're wanting to do, and most of the time, if you're doing the things that are letting your opponent know, hey, I'm just trying to get out of this game, they'll cater to that and just, okay, we're going to run the clock out, we're going to run the ball, and maybe I actually didn't want to do that, and that's fine too. But 79 points is 79 points. And he's got a three game lead over the Titans in the division. So I think that we're too far away for him to be caught. I think the Jags, splashy. When you look at some of the ancillary stats and the other numbers that I'll look at in a little bit later, it'll be a little bit of a surprise as to why they're 1-5. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. When we look at the Nfc East now, we got the Giants sitting at 5-2 and the Cowboys at 3-3. So Prime, he's leading the division yet again. I am not certain whether he has won it all 3 seasons, but I know he won it last year, and I'm fairly certain he won it season 1. So I don't know whether it's all 3 seasons, but he did. He is winning it now, and they split this season series. So whatever happens going the rest of the way, that's just what what they're dealing with, and there's no advantage either way as far as head-to-head record. So they both have the one divisional loss. Young, I don't think he's playing much or consistently or doing much outside of his league game. So we're not going to really count him into this much anymore until he's really into it, and then we can just talk about it then. And then Washington, right now it's minus 19 on the point differential, so that means they're not playing terribly. But 2-4, it's 2-4. Jeremy Strong just scored. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so he's up 27-14 now. 27-24. Aders got the ball with 5 minutes, and we'll see how that goes. Or we won't, I guess. I guess I'll tell you when it happens. NFC West. So I have the division right now. 7-0, 4 games up on my competitors here, and I've played each of them once, I believe. Yeah, I played each of them once. And right now we're playing pretty well defensively. I had one game. I've had a couple close games. The beginning of the season had 2 or 3 close games, and I've been playing solid defensively. Haven't been doing a whole lot as far as taking the top off the defenses and things like that. But over the last couple weeks, we've been getting a little bit more loose on with the pass, and just trying to continue to work on things and get a little bit better passing the ball. We're still quite a bit of a work in progress, and I think that Strong made a crap ton of he traded and traded away and traded a bunch of wide receivers, and I don't even know who's left on his roster at this point, because he would trade for a wide receiver and trade another one for very similar compensation. So I think that with Strong here on the Rams, I think he gets antsy with the type of players that he has, and he for whatever reason he just likes to wheel and deal, and there's nothing wrong with that. Build your team how you want to build your team, and I think that he'll get better if he gets to the position where he gets an X Factor quarterback that's going to remain an X Factor quarterback. Kellen Mond is no longer X Factor, so he got him. He was X Factor, I think, one season, and then he ended up losing it due to regression, which is stupid. And then we got Prey, who is offensively, he's a good player, and defensively, he has lost a lot of defensive stalwarts. Kenny Moore, he was superstar after season 1, and then he lost it. Ader just threw an interception. Strong just baited him really, really nicely. So it looks like Ader may lose again. But going back to Prey, so now he doesn't have any superstars or any players with abilities on his team, I don't believe. So now he has got to effectively scheme his way to defensive stops. And right now, it is currently not working. He's given up 249 points. So he's going to have to work with that and develop a scheme that's going to fit players that don't have abilities. Sometimes it just depends really on what you're able to do or how you're able to use your team. That will determine. Oh, okay. With the Chiefs, sorry about that. Chiefs just scored a touchdown, so it's 34-24. 2 minutes left. So I'm gonna call that one. Ader's gonna lose. So back to Prey. When you have players that don't have abilities, you can't really just expect them to make the the super plays. Like when you have an acrobat, cornerback or safety, you can put them in position to where, okay, if they're like, 3 or 4 yards away from the routes that I think are going to come, then they're going to jump and make that play. Whereas if they're not, if they don't have those abilities, then you have to adjust a little bit on what you're gonna do. Like you may have to put your zone depths at a different depth to expect them to make that play. Whereas when you have the abilities, you might be able to have a little bit of leeway with how they'll play that, because if they've got acrobat or they got mid zone KO, they're gonna be on that. So he's gonna have to make the adjustments with his own defense or his scheme, or whether he's just going to continue to call C2 and play that C2 corner deep, and let come what may, or adjustments will be made, and he'll just have to develop that over time. And we got Andrew sitting at 1-5. I think he's still trying to find his footing with the squad. I think that a lot of one caveat. I have not watched all of his games, so I can't really speak to everything that I think may be going wrong. But just from the games that I have played with him or played against him, Joe Burrow just isn't it. He's just not. Like in real life, Joe Burrow is a dog. Like I love watching him. He is going to be a baller, and I think the Browns are going to be really sad for the rest of eternity, because like Joe Burrow is exactly what they thought they were getting in Baker Mayfield. Because Joe Burrow is full of swag. He's full of all of that stuff, that grit, that leadership. That, hey, I'm not letting my squad lose. Give me the ball. We are going to win this game. This is what the Browns thought they were getting with Baker, and Baker still has the swag. I love Baker Mayfield, but he just is not what Joe Burrow is. But that's in real life. This is Madden, and in Madden, he just isn't it. His lack of throw power in the game puts your offense in peril very frequently. Like when he's lofting balls and you're trying to get this, you're trying to throw off timing, throw a corner route off timing, and the ball is lofted, and you've got, okay, I'm throwing this corner right off the break, and the corner back is like 2 yards, 3 yards ahead of the wide receiver. So okay, if I throw it off the break, I'm gonna hit it, possession catch it. When Joe Burrow lofts it, that gives the corner a little extra second to break on it, and then instead of a possession catch, now it's a catch in traffic. So when you have all of those things working against you, and when it's your quarterback specifically, it can change a lot of what you do, and it's not just a corner route. It could be the deep crossers or the streaks, or whatever route combinations you want to throw. It's just really difficult for you to consistently win when you have a quarterback that you can't really depend upon for these types of passes. Now, this can all be changed, because if he gets him if he puts him at X Factor and it gives him like Gunslinger, I think it'll really help. So Andrew, if you listen to this, use $20, put it on Burrow, give him Gunslinger or Pass Lead Elite, whichever one, because he's going to throw those passes quicker. They're going to be more line drives, and I think it'll just make offense easier for you. So that's what I'll say about that. NFC North, the Vikings. I mean, you look at that point differential. This feels like this is like a revenge tour for him. Like he didn't win a playoff game last year, so he's like, you know what? I'm gonna just kill everybody this season. He is averaging wins by 40 points right now. No, No, about 45 points per game. He's averaging as far as his wins. That is nuts. Like that is an incredible point differential, and he could also be feasting on players who aren't the quote unquote elite. He did play Ron, and he beat him by I think it was 14. So Ron Harden, I should say, and he beat him by 14. So he could be feasting on players that are either you're not as quote unquote elite, or players that will just play into the whatever offense and defense he's running. Because there's people who will just call whatever they're going to call, whether it's C3, C4, and just let him bomb them all game. And then he's scoring 60, 70 points, and that's just it, and they're just going to take their L, rather than players who may try to make adjustments, or players that will manually cover the bombs and just force him to go down the field 7, 8, 9, 10 plays. So I mean, it just really depends on the type of player you end up playing. But right now, I mean, he is making a point to win these games by as much as possible. It's like Tom Brady, when he got Randy Moss that year, the Patriots, they were running it up on everybody. They weren't they were not joking around. I forget. I think it was a Monday night game against the Bills, or Sunday night. Like they scored 49 points, I think, in one half. It was those Patriots were really out to prove a point, and so maybe that's what he's doing this season. But of course, when the playoffs come around, it's going to be a little bit different. He's going to be playing better players, and he won the first two Super Bowls. So I mean, it's not like he couldn't do it again this season. But we'll see how this goes. And Ron has beaten him twice, I want to say. And Ron Harden has a good team and a good scheme. And when you have a player in a division that has beaten you, it gives them a little bit more confidence when they're playing those games, and not just. I know most of us are like those alpha men. I can't be beat. I'm this. I'm that. Like when you have that confidence that you've beaten this person, it plays a lot differently. Like for people that have never beaten never beaten the elite players. I'm not going to go around and specifically call out anyone specifically. But when you play an elite player, if you've never beaten them, let's say you played them 20, 30 times, and they've always beaten you, always blown you out. So it could be the first drive of the game, you throw an interception, you're like, well, this game's over, and then you're already mentally checked out of the game when it's not completely far gone. So those types of things happen when you're playing against with some people when you're playing as elite players, and whether that is something mentally that happens, it is something that happens. There are people that mentally check themselves out of a game when you're playing someone that's really good, even though you don't really need to. And I think with Harden, he has beaten E enough times to know that no matter whether it's the first drive, whether it's third quarter, I throw a pick, whether it's this and that, I'm still in this game, and that's a really good thing. That's really important when it comes to divisional rivalries, to have those players that are gonna push you and make you try and be better, because that's the divisional games are really important to get people ready for what's next in the season. So I'm glad that Harden's in the league. I'm glad that he's able to push E. I hope that they continue to have those really good games, and more power to him. I'm not going to pick against the Vikings in this division. He's already two losses up, and he's got a head-to-head win over the Packers. But I mean, it's not going to shock me if Harden wins the next one and he drops one or two games. I've got E on my schedule. I don't recall what week. I think it's in like 13, 14. So He could lose that game. I could lose that game, and then we'll see how that goes. And then we'll finish it up with the NFC South. Tef is leading the division. Falcons still have no owner, but Skeet's got 4 wins, so that's good. He's a little bit of a turnaround from last season. He's turned it around, and then DeMarcus has turned things around in the negative way. Tef's got a point differential plus 39 from 4 wins. So he's played a lot of close games. I think 4 of his 5 wins came by 1 score. And I think that 2 of those games were forced wins. So so it could just be that. But two of the games that he actually played were by 1 score. Two of the games that he won were at 1 score. He does have a pretty good win against Tyler Self, who I feel is one of our better players and owners. So I don't think Tef is bad at this game. He's not. But I do think, however, that his division itself is not the same caliber as the rest of the division, and that can be just be said flat out. And it's not a shot at all to Skeet or to DeMarcus. It's just this is the same thing I said about Ader when the AFC West had a computer and a guy not trying to win. So it just is what it is. It just takes something from the division when you don't have as much competition, and maybe Skeet's going to be that this season. But at the same time, Tef has had opportunities to play against the players that I feel are really good, and he has won a good deal of those games. So Tef knows how to play the game. He plays well. He has a pretty good defense, and I can't really argue with a lot of that. But when I hear someone or when I read someone say that Tef's got an easy division, I can't argue with that. It's not something that I would argue with, and I understand they've been trying to find a way to fill the Falcons, and that's unfortunate. It really is. It sucks that we may go this whole Madden with the Falcons just getting a bunch of forced losses and the teams just decimated. So hopefully we can figure out a way to get this team owned, and then hopefully we bring a hitter in that's gonna make the guys in the rest of the division perk up and make them a little bit better. So those are the divisions. How long have I been doing this? 37 minutes. All right. So I will jump into some of the interesting stats that I found. Let's see. So leading the passing, as I said, is the Jets. So Kyler Murray. You see the top three passers all in the circle. The circle's got them passes rolling. 3 people averaging over 400 yards a game. Their offenses are really good. You just look at that. 80% completions for two passers. Quarterback ratings in the 130s, 140s. That's perfect. Is 158.3. So right now they are just not making a lot of mistakes. When you look at the rushing, usual suspects: Jacobs, Pollard, Chubb, and Fournette. I think that's pretty common over the course of the seasons. So not really something that is surprising to me. Receiving. So Eric made a trade and got a new toy. He got a speed receiver, Curtis Samuel. I don't know for sure whether he still has Ridley, but he's got a fast receiver again. And surprisingly, he is scoring more points. So whether Eric wants anyone to agree or believe that he doesn't need a super fast wide receiver, what we're seeing on the field is bearing out. Like when he has a receiver that is super fast, the offensive numbers tend to bear out that. And And do I think that he would be offensively crippled if he had nothing but 90, 91 speed wide receivers? No. I mean, let's not be outlandish here. But there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, I do better when my receivers are faster." It's not. It's like saying, yeah, I wouldn't be better if I didn't have a great quarterback. There's nothing wrong with saying that I need things that are going to make me better, make my life easier. There's nothing wrong with things like that. So I think that E may take offense to some of the things that are said when it comes to fast wide receivers, and you know, I to some extent I get it, but at the same time, I mean, if I didn't have Nick Chubb, I wouldn't run for as many yards as I do. I mean, there's just, hey, I've got a great quarterback. Hey, I've got a fast wide receiver. My life is easier. I score more points. I do this. I do that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. All the leading receiver. I'm sorry, not receivers, but all the leading yards. They're all fast. The only one that's not really fast, I think he's 94 speed. Tony, I think it was 95. 95. This guy, 91 speed. So everyone else in here is like 95, 96, 96, 96. I don't know how fast this guy is. I don't know why he has so many catches either. 94 speed. So, and when you have all these guys that are really, really fast, there is a correlation. Speedy wide receivers, speedy anything is going to get open better and faster and better. So, here's what it is. On defense, he's got 20 and a half sacks with one dude. That you can see the discrepancy here. 20 and a half sacks with one guy. I think most of those came in 3 games. And I wish I could go back and watch those, or maybe I could, but I just haven't. You know, that's just incredible how you he got 8 sacks in one game, and just thinking about how that game would have went. Like this guy sacked you 4 times. Why do you continue to either pass the ball through long passes, or not double team, or just why do you continue to let this person annihilate you? I think that was a game against Barr. So Barr, what's up? Why did you give up 8 sacks to this dude? Were you just scrambling constantly and just rolling into him? I mean, we played enough that I know your passing scheme pretty well. So I mean, you're not really a passer that necessitates a bunch of long dropbacks. So what happened? Jalen Ramsey's leading in interceptions. Let's see. Nothing really standing out there. All right, so we're going to go into the team stats. So, Jets leading offense, Jets, Vikings, Raiders, Chargers. Like, these are, hey, look at the Cardinals. How about that? Top 5. That's 5, right? Nope, that's 6. That's 6. Number 6 in offense. How about that? You look at points scored, 50, 40, 40, 37, 34. So there's a lot of scoring going on in this league and in this game. It is what it is. This is just part of the bag. The Vikings are leading in total defense. Whether that's a product of the opponents or whether that's the product of just playing really good defense, there's just something going on in Minnesota that is going to be interesting to watch as the season goes on. Whether he continues this or whether it comes back down to earth. Right now, the Bengals second in total defense, so maybe haven't really heard a lot from Flo. He doesn't really post a lot anyway. So maybe he's got something going on the defense that's turning up. Chiefs, really good defense, and the win has not registered for him, so now he's got 7 full games played. And unless Eric gives up 190 or fewer yards, then the Chiefs should be number 1 after this week, as far as total defense goes. But the Vikings are the only team that's giving up giving up less than 100 points. So they're giving up, 16 in a game? I think I'm doing my math correctly. No, that's 14. 14 a game. So 2 touchdowns a game they're giving up, and they're scoring 54. So here's what it is. Top sackers, Vikings, Saints, Raiders. Third down conversions. So this is when things start looking weird for, in my opinion, as far as one thing. The Jags, a 57% third down conversion rate. So that usually leads to victories, because when you look at the teams and their conversion rates. Now the Bears doing 74% conversion. That's crazy good. Even record, undefeated, 5-1, 6-0, 7-0, 7-0, 1-4. That's computer games. 4-2, 4-1, 1-5. Like when you look at the teams around, Watts is doing well too. When you look at the teams that are around that percentage, and at that rate, you just don't really understand why a record is what it is. And I think that these numbers, I guess, can be more indicative of what's going on with a person. And I'm surprised that they're 1-5. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. That's one of the numbers that stood out to me as far as why they are 1-5, but the conversion rate is as good as it is. The Bears do really well offensively. There's only 11. No, I think 11 teams. I was right. 11 teams have conversion rates of below 50%. I think the Chargers were the best team, or one of the best teams in the real NFL at conversion rate. They were at 47%. 47. And we have only 6 teams in this league below that. 6. And we have, what was that? 21 teams above 50% conversion rate. So I said it, earlier in the year, like, playing defense in this game is really difficult. If you're in third and 4 or less, like, you're almost positive gonna give up that first down, because there's so much ground that you have to defend that you can't really defend it all when it comes to yardage that short. When it's 3rd and 4, you got to defend the flat. You got to defend the corner. You got to defend the deep middle. You got to defend the drag. You got to defend the post, the corner. So you have to defend so much when you have conversions, yardages of that short, that it's really, really, really difficult on defense to do so. So I think this is pretty consistent. I didn't really look up the numbers at the end of the last couple seasons to see where the third down rates were, but I'm pretty confident that we'll probably consistently see half the league at 50 or greater third down rate conversions. When it comes to the 4th down attempts, Young is going ham. He's averaging 3 4th down attempts per game. Strong. This is what he does. He is a big time risk taker, and that's just that's what you expect with him. I think he's led us all in 4th down attempts all 3 seasons. I feel pretty good about saying that. Turnovers. Top teams. The correlation here. With only one team with a losing record and a positive turnover differential. I can't really put it any plainer than I have. Take care of the football. More often than not, you're going to win the game. That's it. That's really it. Take care of the football. Don't give the ball away that much. Like 3 giveaways for the Browns, 4 for the Chiefs. Look at the Falcons taking care of that football. Only 5 giveaways, baby. Buccaneers, 6 giveaways, 7. Like, all these teams that are not giving the ball away are turning this into victories. Broncos 1-4. Interesting. Just look at that, and I think that by and large that all bears out. Teams that have given the ball away a lot. Only one winning record with a negative turnover differential. So the last one I wanted to show was the red zone efficiency. So when you look at the red zone, there's not a lot you can do to keep a team out of the red zone. Like it's really difficult to play defense, and when you've got so much ground that you have to cover, like where we're going to make our money, so to speak, is in the red zone. So whether you're going to play good defense in the red zone, they get to the 20s and they're stuck taking field goals, and you have a good offense and you're able to get those touchdowns. Now you're winning that game, but the red zone is really, really important in this game. So the Jets have been in the red zone the most, 34 times in 7 games. So it's just their offense is clicking. So the top 3 passing offenses all have the most red zone attempts in the league. That's a big time correlation. And whether you're going to score touchdowns in that range is really important. So when you're looking at these over 70%, when you get over that 70% scoring touchdowns in the red zone, that's where you're seeing the difference. It's another reason why I don't understand the Broncos here. See, they're maybe the fact that they only have 9 red zone attempts. Maybe that's why they're 1-4. I don't know whether they have forced losses or not, but anyway, we can take them out of the equation. We can take the Seagulls out of the equation because those numbers are skewed. But when you look at the records of people that are doing well, it's correlated with red zone touchdown percentage. And maybe that's too simple to say, hey, if you're scoring touchdowns, you're winning games. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, sure. But it's looking inside those things and finding out why they're winning those games is what they're doing. Clark has the worst red zone offense in the league. Now, only 5 of his 15 red zone possessions have ended up in touchdowns. Like that's a vast majority. It's a vast difference than some of the other teams that are winning. But when you look at the differences here, 8 times he has ended up with 3 points instead of 7, and then outside of that, there were 2 other times where he didn't end up with anything. So when you look at those 10 possessions, let's say the 8 possessions that could have been touchdowns. That's 32, and then 2 other possessions of 7 points. So that's 46 points that he potentially left on the board at the very least. And as time goes on, those numbers just continue to add up when you're looking at success overall. So being good in the red zone is really, really important, and taking care of the football. So I can't speak to every single possession that he's had in the red zone, but maybe there were some mitigating factors that led to him not scoring as many times. Because 5-2 is 5-2, so he's still winning football games, but for whatever reason, it's not doing that well as far as the red zone goes. Defensive red zone. So only six possessions in which the Vikings have let a team into the red zone. So this, I don't know what's going on. Like I've said it multiple times. I don't know what's going on in Minnesota right now. But right now, they are going bananas on offense and defense. So shout out to him. He's only giving up 1 red zone possession per game on average right now. Like what? There isn't a whole lot to be said right now at just based on what we're seeing here. We'll see if he can continue this type of dominance on offense and defense. But like right now, I'm nothing but impressed when looking at how well he has played so far. And as far as keeping them out of the end zone, the Chiefs. I mentioned they have the best defense in the league statistically, and when you look at the red zone percentage, over half the time they're keeping people out of the end zone. The same goes with the Washington. They're keeping half the teams out of the end zone. The Raiders, half the teams. The Cardinals, half the teams. So when you're able to just allow people to not score when they are in the red zone, chances are you're putting yourself in a really good position. Now, this one's interesting. The Packers have given up 80% of the time they've given up touchdowns. 84% of the time they're scoring touchdowns. So, either way, the red zone is leading to 7 points in those games. And with the numbers being so close to one another, those are interesting corollaries. So when you look at the Patriots here, they've only scored 47. They're giving up 75. Scoring on 55%, giving up 75%. So when you look at those two side by side, and it's the same amount. He's been in the red zone 20 times, given up 20 possessions. And when you look at the differences there, there's four more touchdowns he's given up, and he has one more field goal. So that is 12 more points that he has given up over the course of the season, just specifically in the red zone. There are so many different little things that add up to success in this game. So that's why I love diving into the numbers when it comes to this game, because I mean it's a lot. It's a lot of fun looking at not just whether someone's winning or losing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it. So hopefully this video, are we at an hour yet? Hopefully not. All right, 56 minutes. Sorry. I appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully this was an informative. I enjoy doing these videos, so hopefully I'll be back at it, and maybe another little bit of a check-in towards the further into the season, and Gas may be on it, and we know when Gas is on, videos are a little bit different, and it doesn't they just have a different feel, different trajectory, and I hope that you guys like those videos as well when Gas is on it, and these videos aren't necessarily the same because when Gas is on, he gets people more hyped up to play than I do, because I'm basically just nerding out in Madden numbers for you guys. So anyway, hope this was a good one for you guys. Peace. Oh yeah, by the way, Cardinals won the Super Bowl.